Good morning. It's time to talk about law number 8 in Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Make other people come to you, use bait if necessary. This is the end of the Taurus section of the 48 Laws of Power. And if you think about this in a hostile way, this is exactly what the bullfighter does with the bull. When he waves that red cape and the bull charges at the red cape, and then he stabs the bull, right? It's very hostile. The goal is to actually kill the bull. So the bullfighter, he doesn't run chasing after the bull with a spear, right? Then, the bull would be able to strategize about how to avoid the spear and harm the bullfighter. But because he waves the red cape and the bull is motivated to charge at that red cape, that's the bait. He's able to do a sneak attack on the bull with the spear that he's hiding. Now, in terms of other hostile actions here, if we look at page 62 in his book, we're going to see all kinds of stories about kind of pouncing on your opponents by surprise. Okay? It says here, when you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. We don't know exactly what's going on in the mind of the bull when he charges at the red cape, but most animals who fight with each other associate red often with blood. And so part of the reason why the bull might charge at the red cape is he might think that that is where the man is bleeding. He might be confused. And often when animals think other animals are bleeding, they think they have the advantage to attack and have their final victory. So that might be how part of this trick is accomplished. Now, in a more normal everyday life, this law is not being used to kill people. This law is being used more along the lines of the 4 control dramas in the 7 Celestine prophecy. Okay? And those 4 control dramas, just like the 4 elements of fire, which would be, extra aggressive, that would be the intimidator drama. That would be the threatening drama. Or, air, which would represent words and harsh criticism. That would be another aggressive drama. Or you could have the aloof drama, like going away up on a high mountain of earth, which is always saying less than necessary and being very mysterious and being very slow to commit to any statements at all, which is a passive-aggressive drama. Or there's the other passive-aggressive drama of creating tragedy stories and blaming the other person for not helping you. That is related to our conversation about accusing a person of not giving you rewards or help as punishing you. That's a classic implication of the poor me, I'm suffering because you refuse to help me drama. That's the pity party drama, which I always call the poor me drama. So you have these kinds of 4 energy attacks, which weaken other people's energy and attempt to put them on low ground next to you and put you on high ground. So if you wait for somebody else to do something, you wait for somebody to approach you and, make some kind of move, if you want to weaken them in what they're doing, and you want to take the energy out of what they're doing, then you will use one of these 4 strategies usually. People use these strategies all the time, instinctually. These don't have to be taught. People are almost born knowing these. And depending on whether you feel more powerful and more confident in a situation, or depending on when you feel weaker, you're more likely to use an aggressive strategy or a passive aggressive strategy. If you're in a position of power, with resources and independence, and you don't necessarily need the other person as much as they need you, then you're more likely to use threats and criticism, because you're not going to be harmed too much by the loss of that person if they're not cooperating with you. Or if you're in a more dependent, more vulnerable position, then you're more likely to use the passive aggressive dramas, not saying very much, withdrawing, or doing the pity party drama, the poor me drama. Oh, I'm suffering because you won't help me with your resources, or whatever. When you use Law 8 as bait in normal situations, you wait for the other person to initiate contact. You wait for the other person to approach you first. You wait for the other person to talk to you first. You wait for the other person to send you a message first. And then, if you're trying to create an imbalance of energy and you're trying to, yank more energy towards you, emotionally or economically or for whatever reason, you use one of these dramas, or you use one of them to react to the other person after they have used one. So earlier this morning when I was talking to Lisanun, and he told me again that if I, wasn't going to give him any possible money for books in the capital or something until he got there, he asked if I was going to keep punishing him until he got there. And I got a little bit annoyed and said, that's not a punishment. That's withholding rewards. But it wasn't as angry as I've gotten in the past. If something smells like a poor me drama, to pull the energy back and to crush that poor me drama, if somebody gives me a poor me drama, they're likely to get a combination of anger and criticism from me if I consider that, poor me drama to be manipulative and parasitic and unfair. So that is when we're in competitive situations. But what we want to move towards is cooperative situations. We don't want to have to deal with practicing Robert Greene's competitive laws of power. We want to move into a situation where we're cooperating with each other more. And so a good teacher will respond mostly to the student. The good teacher won't be forcing things with the student with aggressive demands and punishments. The old image of a teacher yelling at a student, demanding that they do something, or hitting them with a stick if they don't do it, that's not very effective. That's not what modern science teaches us. And so what good teachers do, using modern understandings of behavior science, is we wait to see what the student does. And if the student is doing something unproductive, what we try to do is we try to create an environment where it's increasingly uncomfortable for the student to do the unproductive thing. That's negative reinforcement, so that they will on their own choose to move away from what they're doing. So instead of saying, don't do that, don't keep breaking your pencil tip by not being careful with your pencil. Instead, we might make it just more uncomfortable, that whole process. Like after they break not after, you have to do it before for it to be negative reinforcement. You perhaps give them a much, much thicker pencil that's harder to break. That's also more uncomfortable to use. And you say, you're going to keep using this giant thick pencil that's very hard to break until you show that you're using the pencil properly. And then you give them a regular pencil later. So that giant pencil is uncomfortable. So you're not getting mad at them or shouting them. You're giving them some negative reinforcement. But you're responding to their actions. That's where it continues with this idea of you make them come to you. And then if they're doing the right thing, of course, then you follow it up with positive reinforcement. You give them a reward. You give them something they want. So if they want a normal pencil like what other students are using, then you're like, oh, you're using that giant uncomfortable pencil so well. Let's make your life easier now. Let's give you a nice, small, thin pencil like everybody else has. then that would be a reward. That's how you use negative and positive reinforcement responding to students.